So it's 8 a.m. I stayed up all night working on this thing. I've got church in a couple hours, and then after that I've got a plane to catch, and I'm flying to California to do some cool stuff. I will be happy to finish this once I get back, but just so you guys know that I'm not bull pooping right now. It does work. So I'll show you how to make at least up until this point. And in case you guys were wondering one of a couple of things, or both things, Eli, why aren't you showing us how to make that electric longboard that you had in the last video? And Eli, why does that nail shooter kind of look like the electric longboard that you made in the one video? Well, looky here, fellas. Literally the day before I released that video, The Art of Weapons came out with his own electric longboard video, and his was literally superior in every single way. It costs less to make, it's easier to make, it was faster, looks better. Long story short, literally no point for you to make the board that I made. So we're gonna take this as a learning experience, okay? Sometimes you work really, really hard on something, and through no fault of your own, sometimes it just doesn't end up being worth it, or it just doesn't work out. The difference between people who end up successful and people who end up failing is the ability to take situations like that and say, okay, that's fine. I'm gonna make myself win anyways. So you make a nail shooter out of an electric longboard. So that's why that happened. If you're wondering why it seems a little weak right now, the drill down here is actually at the low speed, high torque setting. So once I change the little dinghies inside of it and turn it to the high speed setting, it will, I think, be able to shoot the nails pretty hard, but I don't really have time to do that right now. I've got so much stuff to do before I leave. Ooh, what's this? Ow. Just trust me, it's gonna be freaking cool. Here's how to build up until this point. So I tried multiple times to explain how this thing works in a interesting and timely fashion, but as many times as I tried, I could not get it fast enough that it was not the most boring thing on the whole entire planet. So I'm gonna give a brief explanation right now. If you want the full in-depth explanation with close-ups and everything, go ahead and click right here. It's just a privated video, but it's pretty simple. I took the motor and the gearbox out from this drill. I attached it to here on this little homemade adjusting system right here. I ran the two wires that were normally connected to the motor down through this vinyl tubing into here, and then out through here, and just attach right back to where they're supposed to be. I attached the motor with this hose clamp. I used the rear wheel from a kid's bike so that it already has the sprocket on it to attach the drive chain to it, and then I also have the larger sprocket from the kid's bike. I had to make this aluminum retaining wall thing around the sprocket because the chain kept on popping off, and this worked wonders. It does not pop off anymore. Got this little mechanism on the side for loosening and tightening the chain, and this battery is not doing anything. That is just a spare sitting on there in case this one runs out. You do hold the battery in your hand with the handle, and it operates just like a drill. Oh, all right, now we can finally get to building. I'm going to flip the whole thing on its side. So the reinforcement bar is actually riveted to the end right here, so I am gonna have to cut it somewhere, but I think I'm gonna cut it right here because I could possibly use this reinforcement bar as like a handle on the turret. I would just rather cut it long and realize later that I don't really need it than cut it down here and have to worry about reattaching it later. Now I'll take out these screws and cut that the rest of the way. I forgot to tighten the chain. But now that I actually set this thing up on my custom elevation platform, I've realized that I'm going to have to make the trigger mechanism and the magazine first, and then make the frame to actually attach it into. What a shame. I know I spent so much time putting this thing together, now I gotta break it down, put it into its carrying case. You gotta do what you gotta do. So I've done some boring nerd stuff and figured out that I need the bottom plate of the trigger mechanism and the magazine to be 4 inches and 11/16 wide. I know that's a freaking weird number, but there's some stuff to do with like the thickness of the metal. Boring stuff you don't gotta know about. 4 and 11/16 wide. It's actually gonna be 2 feet long too, which is perfect because this board is 2 feet wide. And I don't want you guys to get way too excited, but I am actually using the world's best pencil right now. So you could say I'm moving up in the world. From what I can tell, I did okay. Word of advice, guys, don't buy this thing. Go ahead and drop a couple extra dollars and buy the Dremel one that actually has the air puffing out of it, so you don't gotta do that stupid thing with the air compressor.
One more thing.
And how dumb is this? It plugs into the wall, and you need to put batteries in it to power the laser guide. Get it together, Rockwell. All right, now I'm going to cut out another one that is the same width. So I'm just going to use this one to trace it. And by the way, guys, I've been playing more Fallout 4 recently, ever since that Mechanist update came out. I have been wanting to do some builds from there. If you guys have any suggestions on anything in specific you might want to see, go ahead and let me know. In fact, go down in the comment section right now and let me know exactly what you'd like to see. And if there's a comment that you agree with, go ahead and just give it a thumbs up instead of leaving your own comment. All right, this took a whole lot more planning than I thought it was going to, but I just found myself sitting here staring at this whole thing for like the last 3 hours, so yeah, I think when that happens, it's basically time to just do something and I'll deal with the problems later. All right, so I'll mark this width here. All right, mark here 1 inch down, like 1 inch down here. Now I gotta get a center line going right here. I don't know what it is though. Well, half of 4.5 is 2.25. And a half of 3/16. What is math? 2.25, 1/16, half a 16th. Nah, it's about right there. Now mark 2 inches down the center line. Mark 1 inch in both directions from the 2 inch line. Then connect the ends to those 1 inch dots that we made. Now I gotta make 2 7-inch long lines from this point going straight down. So I'm gonna do a little trick with the speed square. Put it here, rest the pencil on it, drag it down. And here's our piece that is going to be pushing the nails into the wheels. So I've got a little more smoothing to do on the inside edges, but after that cutting, here is what we're left with. Now I've cut a couple more pieces of that 1/4 inch oak that are both 10 inches long, and I've cut them so that when you line up both the edges with the edges of the piece of plywood that we cut earlier, then the nail fits perfectly in between. So I'm gonna glue these 2 pieces onto the plywood and these 2 pieces, and these will become the spacers for when we have the other piece of plywood and we put it on top. And I'm being really light with the glue because I don't want it to gush out into the slide and make it hard for the nail to get through. And it still did. Cool. Alright, now that I got all those pieces glued down, I've taken that second piece of plywood and I've drawn a 12-inch long center line 4 inches from this end. Now I'm going to take a 3/8 inch drill bit and drill it so that the edge of the hole is exactly on the end of the line. Now here's the tricky part. I have to draw a line from one edge of these holes to the other one. Cut that out perfectly with a jigsaw. Alright, that alignment seems just about perfect. Alright, now I put the ruler into this part, which just so happens to be the same width. I'm gonna mark some lines along the side of it. Do my best to cut these out. All right, now after re-looking at my design, I've realized that there could be a little bit of an issue with the magazine bumping up against the tire that's spinning right here. So I'm gonna try to get a little bit of double stack action going on here so I can fit more ammunition into the magazine without having to make it super tall. So for this, I'm actually going to have to bevel this inside edge right here and then just make the magazine a little bit wider so that the ammunition stacks up in a diagonal pattern on the inside. Okay, and I'll take this piece, put this one on top, mark this out. It's working pretty good. Now that thing is sort of finished. I'm gonna get to work on the magazine. Now, if I am going to keep that magazine from bumping up against the wheel that is gonna be spinning like right here while the magazine, I don't know if you can even see that. The magazine is gonna be coming up from right here and the wheel is gonna be spinning right here. I really don't want that to bump up against that because that would ruin the whole thing, obviously. So I really have to save space on this magazine and cut it exactly the length of one of these bolts. So I'm actually gonna use a bolt to measure it. How tall should we make it? Let's say 6 inches. Yeah, 6 inches is plenty tall enough. Not to mention the bolts are gonna be double stacked, so you should be able to fit quite a bit of ammo inside there. I'm gonna cut this one out and use it as a template for the next one. Dang it. Believe me guys, I know you didn't see it, but I cut this by myself. I really did, I promise. Someone actually told me that my editing was sort of like Casey Neistat, but I just moved the camera around a lot to keep you guys from falling asleep. It'd be freaking sweet to be getting all those like free boosted boards and stuff though. You know guys, some of you might be wondering why I haven't done any like product placement so far. And honestly, it's because when I do it one day, I really want it to be something that I believe in. Like I'm not trying to down talk anybody who's been doing those like through night advertisements, those flashlights, especially because I'm, you know, going to collab with the Hacksmith pretty soon. But really, it's like I want it to be something that I can like really be proud to stand behind and everything, and I just don't feel like Audible or you know, flashlights have really much to do with my channel. So maybe someday I'll get a sponsor and I don't have to talk about money anymore to you guys, but you know, that'll be the day. I wish you could feel what I'm feeling. This feels pretty even. Okay, I've got just enough clearance to get a bolt in there. Now, I was gonna cut both of those end pieces out of more of this 1/2-inch plywood, but I really have to save space in the front. So I'm gonna do the 1/2-inch plywood on the back of it to get as much strength as possible, and I'm gonna do 1/4-inch plywood on this side. All right, so same height, 1.5 inches wide. Let's hope this works. Okay, I'm gonna fix these long parts onto this one at a time. Aha! Right after I cut the 1/4-inch piece out of this. Alright, so here's how I'm going to do this. I'm gonna put some glue on the edge. Then I'm gonna dab on them. I got myself a cheeky nail gun that I'm going to use to fasten this on here while the glue dries. The angle that you slant the nails is pretty important because if you just put them in straight, they can just kind of slide right out. Putting multiple nails facing in different directions gives it sort of like a grip on the wood. So that is pretty good. Now I can just move straight onto the other one. I don't have to wait for the glue to dry. That is one cheeky nail gun. That's kind of good, sort of, but also kind of bad. Okay, well, I guess we keep on going. Oh, I hope this works. This is what, my second video in a row that has taken 2 weeks to come out. I don't think I've ever done that before. That's kinda magazine-y, huh? Magazine ready. I can attach it to this top plate now. You know what? I think I want to square out these corners right here to make sure that the nails don't end up sitting in those round parts right there like that. Alright, there shouldn't be anywhere for it to stop. I am not going to glue this down. I'm going to keep all of it removable in case I have to make any adjustments. Alright, let's give it a test run. 1, 2, 16. Looks like we could fit about 18 nails in there. I've got 16 in there right now. So let's see if it cycles. I don't have the backstop on this yet, so it might slip out while I'm doing this manually. But we're trying to pay attention to this right here. 1, 2. Ah man, right at the end there. Alright, so it cycled pretty good right up until the end there when there wasn't very much weight from the nails pushing down to cycle the next one, so it got a little jammed up in there, but I just kind of had to bump it a little bit and it fell down to the bottom. So, I don't know, I think that's working pretty good. I'd be confident attaching this onto the thing now. And now I have to do some work on putting the bolt through this thing and putting a track into here. That will be what I actually use to pull this thing back. I don't even know what it's called, plunger maybe? So that once this thing is spring loaded, I'll just be able to pull the thing back like this, let it go, it'll slam forward and push the nails out the front into the wheels, shooting them out, or none of this will work at all and I'll jump off a bridge. So first I'll take a 3/4 inch drill bit and drill into here. I chose a 3/4 inch one because it's the same width as the 3/8 inch bolt that is going to be on the inside that needs to slide freely back and forth. This in, mark it. Drill a 3/8 inch hole. Take this thing apart, hopefully just one more time. Then I have to line this up to where it's gonna be at its end point. Mark that. 3/4. Put it back together, then drill through here, jigsaw it out, and that's our track. And I'm gonna glue these little pieces onto the fins on the plunger, I guess I'm calling it now, to elevate the platform so that I can put some screws in both the plunger and the main body of the thing, and then I can put a rubber band around it. I want to do springs eventually, but I don't have any right now, and I'm trying to finish this build tonight because I got a plane flight tomorrow. So we'll just stick these on, clamp it up. Whoa. Well, it kind of works. And I beveled the front of it because I really am that paranoid that it's gonna bump into the wheel. Then while I'm waiting for that to dry, I'm just going to put together the bar that goes through the plunger. Alright, so now with the rubber band and the magnet, let's see how well these cycle. Good. Good. Nice. Alright, I'm thinking with these rubber bands on here, I'm not really going to be able to push out more than like maybe 5 stacked on top of each other because the weight might be too hard. But once I get the springs to replace the rubber band, I'm sure I'm going to be able to fill it up all the way. Alright, so as you can see, I was rushing a little bit. I skipped like 2 steps. Really all I did was just cut out some big plywood slabs, and then this on the inside is just what you've been seeing me make this whole entire time. The plywood is just holding the 2 tires together. As you can see, they spin pretty well. This bottom tire is the one that's hooked up to the motor. So, guess we're doing a test run. Here goes nothing, I guess. What? Wait. What? It actually works? No. That can't be real. Nothing I make works. Let's try that again. That was a mistake. It's not supposed to work. What the heck? Oh my gosh, what? I think this is a pretty good stopping point. I've gotta go do laundry. See ya. Oh, and by the way, when that next video comes out, it's gonna be this one like mini build. Don't assume that means that I've given up on this thing. I already have that mini build filmed. That's gonna be a thing that uploads while I'm gone on my trip, just so you guys aren't left without something.